Dari, thank you so much for joining us and making time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you so much for having me.
Since this particular segment is specifically targeted towards those in the hospitality and tourism industry, my goodness, I'm thinking about all the skills that we have. Someone who works in hotels, someone who works in events. I mean, you've got a problem solver, someone who thinks fast on their feet. I've got to think that these are all skills that another industry would just eat up.
Well, and you want to showcase that, right? So not just you're an event manager or you're a banquet captain who's good at executing events, but showing the, managing and flawlessly executing 4 events simultaneously. The problem solving, any company would love that because there's always a client or a customer in some way. What I've noticed has been most helpful for those who've been able to successfully find different industries and find different jobs outside of hospitality is really working the resume and working how you're presenting yourself. So if you have been a housekeeping leader, and that's your whole experience is working in back of the house rooms, and if your whole resume just talks about housekeeping and cleaning and just hotel housekeeping or public spaces, then somebody's going to look at that and they're not going to really find that transferable, right? They're going to be like, well, housekeeping, okay. But instead, if you talk about the leadership component, leading a team, guiding a team, meeting a budget, doing inventory. So the tasks within those jobs that aren't hotel specific, you did them for a hotel or you did them for a restaurant. But the thing of inventory, that's a lot of companies. Or leading and guiding a team, that's a lot of companies. So pulling out those items that truly are skills in other jobs, then that's going to help that potential employer see that, not just see the housekeeping, if that makes sense.
So Tina, you are the Senior Director for Human Resources for Sempra. Obviously, you have interviewed quite a lot of people over the years. What would your advice be to people who are doing a mid-career change?
First is network. Find out, amongst your family, friends, extended network, who already works in an industry that you want to go into or who already works in a company that you're hoping to get into, and reach out to them. You're not reaching out to them to ask for a job. You're just reaching out to them to have an informational conversation. Find out more about what they do. Find out more about the company. People are very willing to, talk to you, and they're very happy to share and help. You'd be surprised. Like, I will, in front of 150 people, I'll offer and say, hey, feel free to reach out to me if you want to talk one-on-one. And people don't. And so when you're thinking of reaching out to somebody and you're telling yourself, no, they're probably too busy for me, chances are no one else is reaching out to them as well because they're thinking, oh, they're too busy for me. So, be brave. Just go ahead, reach out. I would assume that tourism and hospitality, there's a lot of customer service elements. There's probably a lot of elements of working with different systems, a lot of kind of project management. Those are all skills that are easily transferable to a number of other industries. So you want to focus on those things and really highlight those experiences when you're trying to make that transition into a different industry.
This is the time where, if you can afford it, really hiring somebody to dig into your resume for you and help you completely reimagine it. I think it's well worth that time, or bounce it off different friends in different industries. Saying, hey, if you saw my resume, what do you see? And get that feedback and really make some hard changes. And the other big thing, cover letters or intro emails, I cannot emphasize enough how that needs to be a personal letter. If you just do a generic cover letter or just leave off the cover letter and send out 100 resumes, it's very scattered.
But I look for a positive attitude and kind of like a can-do attitude. Attitude is one thing you cannot train people on. You can train them on how to do things. You can train them up on skills, but that attitude that a person has, you can't train that. Be prepared for questions that will ask you about how you did something before. So the behavioral-based questions, and because that's often a way that hiring managers try to figure out what would you do in this new situation. So think of different situations that have happened to you before and how you've solved that problem, or how you change the outcome.
How do you stay positive in these challenging times? You're sending out resume after resume and you're just not hearing anything. What would your advice be to those folks?
That can get a little depressing, a little frustrating. So finding ways to take care of your own health self, and that can be simple stress relievers like going outside for a walk, making sure you get up, get dressed every day, keeping a routine schedule, even if it's a routine schedule at your home office desk. Crafting your resume or, exploring, people to meet on LinkedIn, but making sure that you give yourself still that structured time. And if you can find another person who you find has a positive energy, so not another person to commiserate with, because that can be a spiral down, right? But finding somebody who has that positive energy that you connect with well, and can you have a call once a week or every other week? And have that person to kind of kick you a little bit and say, what about this? What about this?
Companies need you and they need talented people just as much as you need a job. So it's not a one-way street. They're always looking for talent. So just keep that in mind.
About it, like they're actually rooting for you, because you're right, these companies want to find the perfect candidate. They really do. And if you can show that you're that person, they're going to be thrilled. So they actually are rooting for you to do
They
well.
are. They are. Yep.
Wow, that's great.